back to Empower Her Podcast. I'm so excited to have Larisa Vakulina with us today. She is a multi-award-winning entrepreneur, healer, and founder of Askara Sanctuary in South Australia. With an MBA from the University of Adelaide and studies at Harvard Business School, she built one of Australia's fastest growing international trade companies before devoting her life to guiding women into soul-led success. Welcome back to Empower Her Podcast. Big hi to you, Larisa. Thank you for joining us here today.
Hello, it is an honor to be here and also honor to be a participant in such an amazing global project of the voices and impact for women. We really, really need it now.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I do believe it. There's absolutely a turning point, and so much of this knowledge just gets buried with the person and the stories. And these are stories that whether you're 16 starting business or whether you're 60 running a company is great. And one of my favorite things, Larissa, is the comments we're getting from men. Every man should read this book. And I think that is really exciting. So for our podcast listeners today, um, if you haven't got the book Empower, pick it up. It is amazing. But today we're honored to share with Larissa. And it is chapter 5. And I just noticed, Larissa, I love that book. I just noticed it's page 55. So we've got these 3 fives. And I just quickly looked up that angel number saying many spiritual seekers report seeing 555 when they begin aligning with their true purpose. It's a sign that your choices are bringing you closer to your soul mission. And I believe that's what you've been on. But we are going to start at the beginning. So your chapter is Beyond Burnout, the Askara Path to Sovereignty. And I absolutely love this Askara journey, which we will talk about because we also run retreats there because they're phenomenal. Empowerment is not becoming more. It is remembering the wholeness you already are. This is a beautiful quote by you, Larissa. Empowerment is not becoming more. It is remembering the wholeness you already are. And we start with, I still remember the day when my life as I knew it ended. And that's where I'm going to hand it over to you to share with us from there.
Okay, we all live our life with some sort of confidence and knowing we have the plans we see ourselves doing in a year or whatever, and we kind of never think that something will be changed really quickly. Well, for me, that's what happened when I was holidaying in Australia back 1992, and when I returned back to Russia from holiday, I came to the ashes of my home. The apartment was burned. My husband needed urgently to move kids from the city, St. Petersburg, into the surrounding little village where we actually started to build our dream house. And it was just a building site, and a little sauna house was functioning. So he organized the necessary daily like beds and things, and he moved them from St. Petersburg school into the little village school. And I came from the holiday of brightness and all these possibilities from Australia into something that is completely broken. So at that moment, we both knew that something needs to change because that was a result of the changes that happened back then in Russia, the economical, political crisis, and people who started to make money, they were a target for the mafia elements or criminal, and that's what really happened with our apartment. They burned it and they robbed it, all the possessions, wherever is there. And then when you face this really deep cliff in your life, and you basically almost don't have the foundation under your feet, you find the foundation within yourself. The external illusion of foundation is completely gone. So it's dissolved. Then you find that inner stamina and saying, I don't know what the future holds. But I know one thing. I want to give my children better choices. I want to give my children better chance to be able to live peaceful life and study what they want and choose where they want to live. And that's how the decision to migrate to Australia from Russia was formed.
Wow.
So it took about 2 years to finalize all our visa requirements and things like that. And here we are in 1994. We arrived in Australia. No language. My qualification as an engineer economist of urban systems was not recognized in Australia because of the part of the socialism, economical part of the socialist system of my education was having. So basically, at 33, I needed to start from zero with 2 children, and my husband was there. But then he was forced to leave back to Russia to try to save his business because back then people always assume if someone left from Russia to somewhere else, they never will come back. And the business was basically was robbed apart.
Mm.
So he went back to try to save the business. And I was there by my, or here by myself with 10 and 12-year-old boys and was trying to navigate what I'm going to do. Right. I'm basically no one here. All the cultural, traditional language, wherever is just like, I don't know who I am. And so, of course, I was thinking, okay, I need to have education again here in this country. How to do that without language? So the language course for about 8 months, I was attending English course, get my minimal skill in communication. And of course, my children helped me a lot because kids get in language very quickly through game and so and then I need to make decision. I needed to make decision what I'm going to do. And I made decision, radical decision to go and study at the University of Adelaide in business school. I enrolled myself into the Master of Business Administration degree. That was something that I still looking back thinking, who am I to do this? Who am I to assume that I would be able to do that? But I did because in the first lecture I was sitting there and I was completely squashed because I really didn't understand anything what the lecturer was saying. And I came back home and I was crying saying, that's it. I cannot do this. But then the idea come up when we actually on our knees, when we are believing that there's no way out, there's always this intuitive guide that we all have. And to me, this idea came like, no, I'm going to prepare before each lecture when I go to university. I need to read all the material that related to that particular lecture that I'm going to go and attend. I went to the student office and I asked all the literature and all the reading material that I need to have up to for the whole trimester. So they give me the list. I went to library and get all the books. And what I was doing, I was preparing myself for each lecture. So I would read, I would translate with my dictionary, all of this stuff. And then I would come prepared. I know what they're talking about. I actually would even ask questions. So for 2.5 years, that assisted me so much. This approach really did good help for me, and I graduated. And then, of course, I was thinking, now I am asset for anyone. Now I have two cultures, I have two languages, I have this education, I have MBA program. And you know what? I was having another wall in front of me because I was too different and too much. I was
I
overeducated.
actually I love when you said that in the book. You said feeling unempowered. Empowerment is rarely linear. You went on to say that I thought my qualifications would secure me a professional role. Instead, I was told I was overqualified. Too much, too different. And this
Yeah,
was a time when you felt unempowered. And to be able to go from there uh, to getting those studies was really interesting because when you were saying that, I thought, who are you not to do this?
yeah,
And I know that human beings do things for two reasons. One is through inspiration, and the other is through desperation.
that's
And I
it.
feel desperation
It
can be a bigger motivator
is.
than inspiration. So I do try and with the people I'm working with, before they get to desperation,
Yes.
let's do what does inspire us. So you knew this was important. And you've got who empowered me. Empowerment rarely comes from grand gestures. For me, it came in small but sacred ways. My husband's quiet presence when chaos raged about us. My children who picked up English faster than I did and became my teachers, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
And later, Barbara Ann, whose work on the human energy field spoke to me like a long forgotten friend. So this is who empowered you. But perhaps the most profound empowerment came through my illness. So you've had lost everything. It's burnt down. You've gone to university. You've got a degree. You've learnt English. You've set up the fastest growing international company. Was it down
Yes.
in South Australia?
Yeah.
And it was transport, right? And it was for food to
Well,
Russia.
it was, yeah, it was more like when I was facing too much, too different, and I was like having rejection after rejection. I was again sitting and thinking, okay, what's next? And that intuitive force that we all have, and we need to maybe listen. Well, I had to listen, otherwise,
Mm.
I would be just collapsing. And so the voice said, okay, if they're not taking you, then you create your own. And that's what was the another step where I registered company without knowing anything what I'm going to do. I only knew that Australia is a leader in producing meat and meat products. It's a leader. And Russia had collapsed industry of this type. That it was just completely not existent. And I thought, how about demand and supply? We can actually try to do it. Except that two countries are so far away and the logistics and everything was just kind of in the air. But when you have that clarity that this must be an opportunity here, well, then everything started to fall into the places. And in 3 years' time, we started to supply meat products from Australia to the Russian market, one container a day. It was 30 containers every day of the meat products would go there, and we've become number three fastest growing company in Australia. The
Wow.
growth of this business was phenomenal, and we diversified into livestock. We diversified into supplying lemon sheepskins for the warmer garment. Everything that that market needed, Australia had it. So we didn't do it alone.
Incredible, incredible. And like you said, sometimes there's this voice, there's this tap on the shoulder, there's this, where do our ideas come from? I don't know.
Oh, I
But
don't care.
we need to listen. And that's what you did. You listened and you took action. Unfortunately, the world loves to create chaos and collapses some of our businesses. So we'll hear from you in a moment around that. But you did right, but perhaps the most profound empowerment came through my illness. So let
Yeah.
us know a little bit more.
Well, of course, with such a phenomenal growth, there is also a phenomenal stress. through managing this amount of products, so the logistics, the veterinary requirements, and all the, networking and things. And of course, part of this success was also a very high price that we as a family paid, because I was managing this part of the business in Australia, the supply, and the part of the selling where we sell was under the management of my husband. That's why it is also was successful. But the price, of course, of paying for this success was also a family and relationship. So very soon, in 8, 10 years, it's become clear that it's not a family that we had. We had the business partnership,
Mhm.
and that it started to be really affecting my health, not only trying to hold and manage this really demanding business, but also the personal crisis of relationship. Who we are we still keeping the mask of being happy family where we don't even spend time in proximity of each other, right? So it's very challenging time. And of course, at some stage, all the serious questions start to pop into my mind. And, in the beginning, you kind of suppress them. But I know through my personal experience with this intuitive voice, it's just better to listen and follow. If you don't, you are in trouble. And I knew I took that risk. I still was hoping that the business will be growing more and more and more, and only maybe another few years, and we can reunite. But that's really illusionary assumption and a hope, because your body is connected every minute, every second, every moment to your emotional state. And my emotional state at that stage was very, very low and confused and lost. And it's almost like I'm rejecting myself, I'm betraying myself, staying in the same situation, not voicing it, not resolving it. But then, uh, in one part, I didn't listen that intuitive voice about my personal choices, but on another side, I started to listen this very interesting guidance to buy a land. Buy a land, find a land. And why do I need a land? I don't need a land. I run business, and but that's how I started to explore this intuitive guidance and trust it. So I
Mm.
bought the land without knowing why I need it, what for I need it. But it's ended up to be my sanctuary, my sacred space that helped me to heal. And I left it for too long to resolve my own personal conflicts. And then, of course, the life is always going to force you to resolve. So in my case, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So what do you do? Do you keep living how you live, or you kind of make some kind of, reflection? And for me, it was again, that was radical, radical trust to this intuitive guidance. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, my guidance said to me, don't do anything. Just sit with this. And I was sitting on my land, and I was talking to myself and saying, well, thank you. Thank you, my little abnormal cells. You finally showed me that I'm not living my life. I'm living someone else's life. I'm doing someone else's dream, and I'm not living mine. And if you decided to take my body, I betrayed myself. I agree with that. But I'm not going to take you out of my body. Instead, I'm going to thank you and love you. That's how I was talking. It was really it's a sacred communication. And when we have diagnoses like that, this is invitation for that sacredness of your personal, intimate relationship with God, with you, with yourself. And the miracle happened. In 6 months' time, I was just I was trying to manage land, do something, sync up what I'm gonna to do with land. And in months' time, I went to check up. There was no pathology. And then mind decided, I don't understand this. I really need an answer. How does that happen? The whole world is saying you're going to die. I have letters from my oncologist saying you taking risk. You have aggressive breast cancer. You taking it. You have to do. And I was writing them. I said, I don't have to. I make decision not to. And here I was healed, no pathology. What I'm going to do? It seems like everything that we are displaying or showing and through our different institutions and medical community and things is not really totally correct. I'm not saying they're wrong or something, but there are situations where when we use our all faculties, the spiritual, the emotional, the mental, the physical, when we deeply, deeply honest to ourselves, when we just honestly accept that this is ourselves that create reality. And I did create all of this. And then the mind said, I want to know. I start to look for the places where I can satisfy my mind to give the answer. And I found Barbara Brennan School of Healing in America. When I read the curriculum of this school, I thought, that's it, bingo. They're going to explain for me how I created disease and how I recreated it without any medical protocols. And they did, yes. Exactly. And a lot of people go to that school for healing. Of course, the awareness and consciousness and physical bodies. But what for in my case, it was like I healed the body and I wanted the answer. And I came and I went there. I spent traveling to America 5 times a year, 4 years, 20 times. That's 4 year course. I became Brennan Healing Science practitioner, and now I'm helping people to understand the symptoms, the discussion that the body is telling to you, and asking for attention. How are you gonna to resolve it? Are you still gonna to sit in your fear and untrust and allow external systems to help you to heal, or you gonna to take responsibility for your health and for your life and start to find that place within yourself, the essence that knows everything?
Wow. I just want coming to mind because in John's family, it's very generational with the guys that they get prostate cancer.
Mhm.
A lot have died, a lot have gone through cancer treatment, and a lot have got it early and got it taken out.
Yep.
So, for those generational curses or diseases
Yes.
that can get passed down, can they heal them naturally as well?
Well, I believe that we all and each of us have a capacity for self-healing. We have it all. We're given it by our divine design. We have it all. It's only that we need to explore these things a bit more on a more community or scientific and all other levels, because everything externally not allowing us to do this fully with legitimate resources and like it is all here. And we, for some reason, believe the limitations that we have. I learned that we are unlimited. I learned not only theoretically, I learned it through my own experimentation. And that's how I live my life every day. I know exactly that anything that we want already exists.
Mm. Wow. So we could continue to talk about this for a very long time, but in the book, it does allow people to be able to find you, to be able to reach out to you. So if you are listening to this and perhaps you do know that there is something that does get passed down in families, can we heal it in ourselves before we get it? I don't
Absolutely.
know. I think that would be extraordinary to find out. And, you know, whether my two boys would step into taking the challenge, but I would love them to. You said when leadership went wrong was you became a master of performance, negotiating, expanding, making everything thrive. And I understand that. I feel that pain, and I think most people that start a business and it grows fast, um, it goes vertical. It's a
Mhm.
lot of work. It's a lot of learning curves. It's a lot of people that we go through till we get the right people as well that can multitask a little bit more too.
Mhm.
Um, you've said in your MBA, I discovered that my accent once was a source of shame,
Yeah.
um, and never ever should be. um, I'm just adding that, sorry, made my classmates listen more attentively. You are so right. What I thought was a weakness became a gift. I
Yeah.
do believe that we do work harder to make sure that we're getting the full message when someone does have that accent. So, in actual fact, it became a bit of a strength because people leaned in to listen what you were saying. Isn't that
Mhm.
amazing that you were able to pick that out? You say true leadership, I realized, is not about control, performance, and deadlines. It is about coherence. It is about leading yourself so fully that others feel safe to lead themselves. That is really, really special. I'm wondering if you have one of these books in front of you.
Absolutely.
You do. Woohoo.
I've not only one, I have three.
uh, be-
Yes.
because
Oh, I have three.
at
Yes.
the oh, good one. At, at the end, I'm going to invite you to read your closing final thoughts.
Mhm.
But before we go into your tips, is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners right now?
Yeah, I really would like to call on successful women. I absolutely see you and understand that desperation and inspiration, again, that's where I really start to understand that the forces within ourselves needs to be balanced, or we need to choose the force that gives us life supporting feeling, the life supporting ROA, like return on intention, I call it, right? Not return on investment, because we always talk about ROI in terms of investing money. But when I look at
Yeah.
what we are investing, it is much more. And for the successful woman, I really invite you to maybe look at my private community of women, where we actually speak openly about everything that women maybe don't want to share with external world or even their loved ones. There is a space where we can look at all the little situations that maybe block them or that maybe still keeping them in the past. Right now, we are in a time where everything is having a speed. Everything, all your thoughts and your internal intentions are gonna become reality very, very fast. And that's where the emotional maturity and internal balance and stability inside is playing so important role. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of very destructive and distorted situations. And I invite women to come and join this community where I'm running regular master classes and we just have a chats and talks and whatever. And that space is not only about health, it is about money, relationship, and health because it's all one and the same. It all
Yeah.
comes from your core essence. And
Mm.
that's what I'm helping and guiding women to find that core essence and move the desperation and inspiration and
Mm.
put
Mm.
inspiration
Mm.
more higher than the
Yeah.
desperation.
I got vibration, then move that vibration up.
That's it. That's
Definitely. That's wonderful. You've got three tips to empower her here. The first one, take radical self-responsibility. Stop outsourcing your freedom to external systems or people. I love that. Stop outsourcing your freedom. Your power is in total self-honesty and the choices you make daily from that place. So what I know is the thoughts in our head aren't always right.
no,
You've got
no.
to be really honest here and, is it kind? Is it helpful? Is it going to
Mhm.
make that difference? Or is there something, a thought that's just come through that's going to stop you? Let it go. Take
Mhm.
radical self responsibility. Trust your individuation point. I call ID.
Mhm.
Your essence is your truth. Your title role defines you more than your inner knowing. You are the best expression of this divine plane. So your essence is your truth.
Absolutely.
So we need to trust. We need to trust that
Well,
ID.
yeah, basically it is it is before the mind. It is before the thought process. It is before our body and the physical sensation. Because this is really all it's all in our mind. Like if we have somewhere some sort of pain, we describe it and we name it, and it's only thought. But if you go before that into that potential, there's no pain because you don't exist there. It's a potential there. And that's how I deal with all my symptoms, and they go away straight away.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching women. I have 12-week the Askara Principles journey, where we learn about that radical self-responsibility, self-honesty. Plus, we also really deeply learn about ecology of relationships.
Yes, that's your
And
point number three. So everyone listening, that is the number three tip. So one
yes,
is that radical self-responsibility. Two is to trust your ID. Three is to nurture relational ecology. Empowerment is amplified when your relationships are grounded in respect, honesty, and mutual. You were just
yes,
about to jump into that.
yes.
Yes.
Ecology of relationship is very, very important in our life. It's not only about boundaries. We hear a lot about boundaries, but really, there's not really great clarity about boundaries. They dynamic, they moving. With each person, we have different boundary. We also have different boundaries for ourselves, for the earth, for all the spaces and all the creation around us. And create ecological space, create your own ecological boundaries, and that will then invite all relationship that you want based on your ID. You have clarity what you want and how you want to live in your life. You take full responsibility for that. You're not saying, oh, I can't do this because I have some kind of whatever. And all of these excuses are take you out of that responsibility.
Yeah.
And imagine these three principles working together. You become your sovereign creator of your personal own life. And we, of course, all want to be happy, create respectful space, kind, all of this support and things. We want it here in mind, but unfortunately, it's not really sometimes happening because there's barriers, blocks, and all the unconscious programs are on a way to do it. Through the 12th week of Askara principles, we neutralizing and purifying all of this conditioning and programming, and we connecting to this ID, your essence, and you take responsibility. You start to see from where you're functioning. And once you recognize your program, because you see it in your environment, if someone is conflicting, you know it's your creation and you know how to change it.
Wow. Thank you so much for today. We have a question for you, though, at the end.
Yeah.
Now, you can either choose a card 1 to 6, or we can roll the dice.
The
What would you
dice,
like?
yes, the
Roll the dice.
dice.
All right.
That's more adventurous.
Well, we're kind of rolling with the dice today and rolling and throwing it. And your number is 1.
One.
Wow.
Wow.
You are
Yeah.
a 1 today. The younger you. What would you say to the version of you who almost gave up but didn't?
Wow. Yeah. Well, I would say again, we talk all this time about your intuition, your essence, that place that knows everything, that always choose for the best for you. But we ignore it often. And what I wanted to say to my young version is say, like, how many times you've been suppressing that, how many times you've been overlooking that, how many times you've been listening everyone around you but you. And that's what is the quicker you realize that you are the creator of your life, the better you will start to feel adventure. Oh, that is life.
Wow, I love that. And would you like to, and thank you for sharing, would you like to, in your closing final thoughts, just read that first paragraph when I left Russia?
Okay. So when I left Russia, I thought empowerment was about building a safe, successful life. What I have learned is that empowerment is about listening, truly listening to the quiet inner voice that knows the way. True empowerment is to know the self deep enough to see clearly how you want to live your life, express your true self, and share your inner genius.
Wow, thank you so, so very much. And you invite the dear readers to pause, to breathe, to listen, and to follow your first thought, that first whisper that rises when you are still. It may look small, but it holds the seed of your sovereignty.
Yes.
Empowerment begins here. Thank you so much, Larisa, for being part of this journey with many women around the world and our first beautiful Russian to join us. So thank you,
Yes.
our Russian Australian. And I would love to thank all you listeners for being a part of this podcast. And hopefully, we'll dig into perhaps maybe even taking radical self responsibility. What would we need to do to make that look great? Because the power is with you. Thank you. And until we speak with our next author, this has been amazing. Speak soon.
Thank you so much.